Okay, so I'm originally from India, and I started off in Y-Axis India. I was more from a banking background, and then I moved to Australia to study. That's the first time I actually experienced an option to move overseas and study. Then, when finished my business studies, went back to India. I was considering whether I should join the bank or do something else, which is more meaningful. And then I joined Y-Axis. I joined Y-Axis in about 16 years ago, and I initially started with Y-Axis India, where we used to help people who want to move, visit, migrate, invest, and move to other countries. And then from India, I moved to, obviously, I started Y-Axis's overseas operations. I moved to the UK. I lived in the UK for about 7 years. I've started Y-Axis in the UK, and then we started growing in the UK. Then I got the opportunity of moving to Australia. I started Y-Axis Australia in 2013, and then moved to Y-Axis Canada, introduced the business there. We started Y-Axis operations in Canada, and then moved to the UAE, in 2015. And, I wish I moved earlier, considering how the UAE is, but then we moved here in 2015. We started with a small team, about 5, 6 staff. Now we are the largest immigration company in the UAE. We have 125 staff in the UAE. So we help people who want to work, study, visit, migrate, and invest in any country at all, which is Canada, Australia, the UK, Germany, Europe. And we help people, we do career counseling. We help students who want to look at admission and then visa applications. We've also started working with local governments here to bring in more people into UAE. So it's called the Destination UAE. So we've introduced Destination UAE to bring in more people from India, especially India, because we're large in India. We get about 120,000 inquiries a month. We have 50 offices across India, and which other better place than the UAE? So we've started doing business setup in the UAE. We've started bringing people to study in the UAE, because that's another huge market. Because considering the UAE and India, we are so close, I think a lot of parents like their children to be close by. And then we started doing freelance visas in the UAE. So that's another part of our business which we are introducing now, and it's going really well. So when it comes to skilled migration, I think other than work, when you're talking about skilled migration, it's about people going to migrate permanently. There's countries like Australia and Canada who are mainly offering skilled migration. They give you a permanent residency based on your skills. You don't actually have to have a job to move there, right? And it's still active. You're getting invitations every day via this particular route when it comes to Australia and Canada. When it comes to work related, again, each country has their different options that they actually choose from. But with the UAE right now, at the moment, we are seeing a lot of people who are moving to Australia. At the moment, there's a huge requirement in Australia. Germany, we've seen a lot of people moving to Europe. Although Europe, they have many different requirements. I think the UAE especially, there's a lot of people who want to move to Sweden, to Italy, to France. And because they don't have an opportunity, they don't offer a visa to actually move there, they're choosing Germany as a pathway to actually move. And so there's huge requirement when it comes to these options, under skilled migration. Again, how it's changing, I think earlier, countries also change, right? So the countries used to select people based on labor, general skill labor, and all the occupations possible. Now what's changed, I think, is they're selecting critical skilled workers. Mainly, again, healthcare is a huge requirement, healthcare workers. IT engineering, again, they've changed their whole selection process. Countries have changed their selection process with IT and engineering as well. People have changed their thought process as well, with the living cost and everything that's going on right now. I think they've changed their thought process. Now they're starting to select places which have low living cost. Look at cities rather than looking at Toronto, look at a smaller city, Calgary. Rather than looking at London, look at maybe York or somewhere else. And I think so they're looking at regional and smaller cities to reduce the living cost. And they're looking at high-paying countries, people who are paying really high. and so they're looking at high-paying jobs. So it's both ways. One is countries are changing their policies, people are changing their preferences, but they're still moving. So the UAE, we get a lot of inquiries from all over the world. Considering we are based in different countries, we get inquiries from Australia, from the UK, for people who want to actually move to the UAE. We don't get too many freelance visas, but we get a lot of business setup. People who want to set their business up in the UAE, and why not? If you think about it, tax-free income. The government's pro business people, they want people to come in. We have world class infrastructure, we have world class healthcare, children's education is great, and and corporate tax is really really low if you make a lot of money. And so why not the UAE? So it's brilliant. So we get not only from India, we are getting a lot of inquiries from people from other countries as well, especially when it comes to business setup. And when it comes to working, I think people who want jobs and things like that, they're always looking at the UAE. Skilled workers are always looking at the UAE. But when it comes to mainly business setup, there are a lot of people moving in. It obviously, I think the cost wise also the UAE is much, maybe accommodation maybe on the same par with some countries, but everything else is, I think, much more better. Considering the fact that they're not paying income tax, as compared to paying some countries 30, 40, 50% of income tax and insurance. I think the UAE is much more affordable. Many people, I've been to Canada a few months ago, and everyone who's talking, migrants who are there, who think, and they talk about waiting for their citizenship and then moving back to the UAE. So there's so many people. That's the agenda. You get your citizenship and then come back to the UAE or any of the GCC countries. So it's that attractive.